from one side of the county road to the next.
Yeah, the thing is, I think there we might have to split the thing in two to where we might possibly want to look at putting a rough system on the existing shop down there and kind of build it out. So you would have your, how we talked about in that tour of where you could have your portable mill stored there to where you can pull it out and have able to work around there. I think you're going to get too congested up on the top there with the logs and the mess and everything else. I think that portion of it, you're better off to probably try to flood down there.
Yeah.
You know.
We didn't go in that much detail yet, but those would be the.
But that's just something, I guess, food for thought down
Right.
the road here to think about. You know, we might have to split the two, you know, shops to where we still use a lot of the old one, maybe add on down there, but yet, you know, have the main one up here for your diesel mechanics and whatever else.
How deep are they talking, Teresa, just because you spoke with them? How deep are they talking for footings? Just wondering, how deep, so they have to go, how deep are they talking for footings?
25 to 30.
Telling
30.
me.
I know. So all the money
Driving
would
by
be
when
underground.
I'm really glad we looked at that, for sure. I was worried about it, man.
And all those conversations that you're talking about now, like, once we get back in a place of the surveyor and the geotech report, then we would have the engineer, structural engineer, and the architect come back out and visit us again and help us design all those specs that we just talked about, structural and the programmatic.
Does that change our bidding process or anything? that
It
we're
doesn't
doing
change
right
our bidding process, it just, we're slowing down. You're like, where are we at? RFP. So that's where we're at. And I've been in touch with Allison Dunnan, who's like the state grant coordinator of the release of these funds. And so she's aware of where we're at in the process. And all they asked was we just continue to give them updates. Should we need to go back out and ask for more money? Because I said, is there more money still? And we're discovering our cost. We might have some substantive evidence at this point that our cost could be higher. She said, yeah, there's an opportunity to go back to the council in May. Should we need. So she said, just keep her posted. And then other facility projects, maybe not necessarily safety. However, these are some of the projects on the horizon for the different school sites throughout the district that have recently emerged. High school sewer system needs repair. That's a $60,000 repair. There's a little area in the gymnasium of the Hayburn. It turned out we did have a structural engineer take a look at it. There is no structural damage, so just a little bit of loose brick from the drainage. So we're gonna look to repair that. Basically, it just needs some new brick, and then they're gonna repoint how the water drains.
Right.
That's $220,000. Again, this will come up again during budget workshops, but that's why we have that facilities monies. You heard Principal Blackwell talk about it a little bit, but there's some, like, I'll call it a remodel in the cafeteria and a couple of the different classrooms as we get ready for preschool and as there's different functions happening at the school. To take a classroom and put walls and make it into 2 offices, if you will, or an area for small group pull-up. By our fire code, there is an exit door that was just closed off in the Hayward gym between the bleachers when you're heading kind of northeast, right? So you're just gonna make that a 2 exit door again. Shouldn't cost too much. And there's some fob key entrance requests here at Upriver and at Hayward. So those are on the horizon. I like to keep the business manager in the loop because there's money attached to each one of these repairs.
What is there?
Yeah, what is that? And this is just taking all the tasks we just talked about and putting them in a little calendar, just to keep on that. At the forefront, you'll see it as an agenda topic, or you'll see it as a special or workshop. Safety calendar. We're going to talk about negotiations later on in the board agenda meeting today. Calendar I'll talk about a little bit later on today. Board meeting. Good. I'd just like to quickly mention, to keep at the forefront, right, teaching and learning. So all that we just heard about with policy and all we just talked about with facilities and safety brings us back to the teaching and learning for our students. I'll make two highlights. Principal Blackwell spoke to it. Our early literacy reading for K through 3, the students are doing really well in terms of meeting and exceeding our end of the year target. Of course, we're striving for 100%. The work that you hear the classroom teachers and the principals talk about seems to be working, something that we want to continue and replicate. And then that's just a quick reminder of our language arts and our math results. So at the end of last year, we were at 33%, and our goal is 53%. And you'll see the STAR reading aligns a little more than it used to. I had some conversations with Renaissance, if you will. The correlation between STAR reading and our ISAT is like 0.86. So there should be a really strong correlation. And I was like, there's a huge discrepancy for our scores compared to ISAT. So we had looked at a higher percentile, if you will. We looked at a higher level. And looking at those student scores at a higher level brought the results closer in line with ISAT to be a better predictor. Same with math. I don't know if you remember, it was like 70% of the kids were at or above. Huge discrepancy. It's supposed to be a 0.83 correlation. So 17% of our kids on ISAT at the end of last year were at or above. Our goal is 38. And so you'll see a little stronger correlation between the STAR and the ISAT. We just looked at the scale score at a higher level to bring that into a better, well, correlation, if you will. Do we still need to do some work? Absolutely. Is reading a little stronger than our math? That would make sense, since the last few years, St. Mary's has really focused on reading comprehension. Just to keep that, again, what's the purpose? Just to continue to be really familiar with our goals, continue to review different student stats, results, so we make sense and can answer those questions, like where are students headed, where are our students at right now, and what are we doing to continue to see them improve and achieve. And that's where that strategic plan comes into play. Those action steps that we see that growth and achievement. Almost end of report. The last thing was, there's a lot of communication, and being communicative has been an important goal of St. Mary's and myself. And one of the procedures we put in place when patrons speak, that we would follow up with patron comment. And so tonight, the board would like to spend some time following up with patron comment.
So last month, at February 12th meeting, there was a patron, Mr. Joe Memory, and he presented an excellent statement and petition. And it wasn't just his, and he was presenting it to the board on behalf of more than 100 signatories of that petition and statement. And so the board felt that we should address it as to the community. So this is the place to do it. You can't just have a one-person conversation like you would have with just someone who presents something. We felt that his statement was an excellent statement, and the more that we reread it and we realized how many of these concerns and goals that the board and the community from this petition had in common. And it was really great to get some of this feedback back from our community. We don't always get a lot of clear feedback, and this one was very clear, concise, and so as we reread it more and more, we felt that we needed to look at each of the areas of concern that Mr. Maimone brought up and respond to each one of them. There were 5 main areas of concern. So what we did was, for each concern, we gave an example. It is not exhaustive by any means, but we hope that it demonstrates just how the community and Dr. Wrench and the school district and the board of trustees and even the state legislators are all on the same page, and we're all moving in the same direction. And so we all have the same interest at hand when it comes to the main topics of this petition, which was a primary concern of the innocence of students, academic achievement, the importance of parental rights, and the interests of taxpayers. So I'm just going to go forward, and some of the topics and the evidence of things that the board and the school district have done in the recent past came before our new trustees were on board. So we really wanted to bring it up as a matter of discussion. So if you have questions or anything, I'm not just going to read it. We can have it open for discussion if you have questions for background or anything. Okay? Is that good? Okay. So this is actually to Mr. Maimone and the 100+ signatories of this petition that was read at last month's board meeting. The first concern is to maintain a school curriculum that promotes truth, decency, and traditional values. He wrote, "We do not support entities, individuals that actively work to subvert or do not align with these values." So as a point of evidence, again, these are not exhaustive examples. These are just examples to give demonstration of how we are moving in the same direction and on the same page. As far as curriculum is concerned, when it's time to choose a new curriculum for an area of instruction, our district forms a curriculum committee. This is made up of 50% plus 1 more of parents and 50% minus 1 of teachers, trustees, and principals. The superintendent helps facilitate the process, but does not have a vote. This purpose is to ensure that parents have a majority voice and vote in the choosing of any and all new curriculum. The second item was to protect the innocence of children. In this one, we're very fortunate to be living in Idaho and have a state legislature that supports us in law. Idaho Code 33512 commands that we are to protect the morals and health of the pupils. Further on, the petition and statement asks about safeguarding students from undesired influences that would arise in the school system. These influences can emerge in various forms from different individuals or entities. That requires the school system to have people in place who recognize this as a real threat. For an example, last fall of 2023, trustee Beth Halverson, myself, discovered that a library policy did not exist and was desperately needed. Dr. Wrench was quick to lay the groundwork for a policy and coordinated a committee, including trustees Beth Halverson and former trustee Mark Reynolds, a building principal, and library personnel to create a policy specifically prohibiting materials deemed harmful to minors. That is a statutory definition behind that term, harmful to minors, in our libraries, our classrooms, and our literary events. The petition goes on to state, one must not interpret this to mean Christianity or religion should be taught in school. To the contrary, that is the job of the parents and the church. Instead, we want to make it abundantly clear that our school curriculum must not undermine or contradict our Christian conservative values. Adhering to this principle, the school system would not conflict with the parents' moral beliefs. An example of this would be our district policy that was recently reviewed and revised this past fall. Policy number 504.17. I'm just going to briefly state it's in very clear detail in the policy, but to the gist of it, the following are strictly prohibited by all staff or counselors at District 41 schools. Pro-abortion counseling and or referral for abortion, and also gender-affirming care counseling and or referral. These items are prohibited. The third point being brought up was to preserve the parents' God-given rights of informed consent concerning the well-being of their children, mind, body, and soul. This is the parent's sacred right and responsibility. We do not support policy and individuals that violate these rights. Last fall, 2023, Dr. Wrench and the previous Board of Trustees reviewed and revised all of the policies concerning controversial topics and or parental rights in order to clarify, reinforce, protect, and strengthen parental rights. That process is now complete. Further, a full review of all district policies is now in process. This will likely take about 2.5 years to complete. The fourth point, to support and promote education that emphasizes basic areas of learning. Example, English, math, history, and science. The board and the district, in order to define, measure, and improve academic achievement, are in the process, led by Dr. Wrench, gathering input from staff and students, parents, and community members. All of this information is being gathered and will be presented to the current board as we renew our district's 5-year strategic plan. The next is the next point that was made on the petition. We do not support unrighteous indoctrination of any form. Diligence on the part of the school board and faculty must be exercised to recognize and eliminate any radical ideology-based material disguised within basic areas of learning before ever entering the classroom. An example would be the school district has the backing of the state legislature and the governor in prohibiting critical race theory, CRT, from all curriculum by passing HB 377 and signing it into law. The superintendent and the board are currently defining social emotional learning, SEL, and specific examples, so staff is clearly informed of what to look for and not allow in the classroom. The petition also states that any school grants that have stipulations that conflict with these values should not be selected and rightfully declined. The board, back in December of 2023, objected to political language concerning diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility, DEIA, being used in a section of the RAS grant This is the $14 million plus grant, energy grant, recently awarded to the school district. Dr. Wrench and trustees Beth Halverson and Seth Stoke met multiple times with McKinstry Group, who is in charge of the contract wording. The involved section has now been rewritten to align with St. Mary's values, and the political language has been removed. The fifth point on the petition: the democratic process must be harnessed to ensure the voice of the taxpayers within our community are heard loud and clear by the school board and the school district as a whole. We must not allow the voice of the community to be silenced or marginalized. The lives of the children are at stake. The board has, over the past year, and continues to search for new technologies and implement them. If you're watching from home, that's one of our big ones. New technologies in areas of communication have been implemented and continue to be updated and improved for better two-way communication between our community, our schools, our district office, and our board of trustees. These, again, are just a few examples to demonstrate that the concerns of the community and the board and the district and Dr. Wrench and our staff in our schools, we're all heading in the same direction with the same highlights and priorities. The Board of Trustees would like to thank Mr. Maimoni for coordinating this community communication, and we look forward to more productive and constructive communication in the future. So, new board members, do you have any questions, comments, want any more background or anything? No. Okay. So because this was also signed by over 100 community members, and they're not here today, Mr. Maimoni's not here, we kind of were thinking, or I was kind of thinking that we could put together a final draft of this and publish it in the newspaper. Does that sound like a good communication, since it was to such a large group of people?
Yeah. Well, creating a way that we can sign this to make sure that this is something that we all agree to. You know what I mean? That's a request. I don't know, I'm asking because Josh brought up something once. I'm definitely in appreciation to, and I think that this is all saying that we agree to all this, but I would like to say, personally, I agree. You know what I mean? And say that paper.
But as this is submitted, it would be submitted to the board, or submitted to the paper on
From
behalf
the Board
of
of
all of
Trustees.
us.
And I'm okay with that.
Unanimously.
I'd love to be like, I agree to this. You know what I mean? You agree to this. He agrees to this. Not this being an individual. Just all of us together. And that'd be a way for me to be like, almost like I give my oath, you know.
I'm sure we can talk to the paper and put all our signature on there and be fine.
Yeah. we
Because
can find
Because it was
I-
addressed to the board, not,
Yeah.
Right, and I'm not saying,
Not
I
just-
totally
think
agree.
I hear what.
no, but yeah, no, I'm agreeing.
Okay, yeah, and I'm 100% like, I just want to say that, you know, because this is something that, you know, a lot of this wasn't include me in what was done, but what was asked of, like you were saying, we're 100%.
Yeah, we're already doing all of the things that were brought into this, and I have other areas too that are important to me that are going in the same direction that weren't brought up, but this was specifically responding to this
I would
letter
say,
that was
yeah, I would
presented
say,
to the board.
I don't know if we want to task you with that, or Teresa or Tanner or somebody, get it to then get a final draft, and then we can all put our signature on there, name and signature.
And I appreciate your response for sure. I
Yeah.
want to make sure that I'm signing as well. I mean, like, hey, I wasn't there for any of this, but I want to redo it 100%. Absolutely.
Right, yeah, because, I mean, yeah, you weren't, the three of you weren't part of a lot of that, but, and some of it is, you know, it's exciting when I was going through all of the history of things and realizing how much of it is supported also by the state, that we're fortunate to be in Idaho, supports us. So, okay, I will move forward with that, and I hope to have it. It probably won't be this week.
Sure.
Okay, I'll give you till tomorrow.
Yeah, just, 9
3 p.m.
I would just say that I really appreciate the time that you put into
Yes.
responses, the accuracy, and like Seth says, I want to put my name on it.
Yeah,
Support it.
that's what I was saying. I was saying thank you very much for all that response because it's from the heart. But on top of that, I want to say, because I wasn't part of it, absolutely, I sign on.
But it's exciting to be able to see that, that all of a sudden I'm rereading this over and over and over. Well, wait a minute, that happened. We are all on the same page. So, yeah, okay. I will work on that, get that final thing off, and you will find it in your email box in the next day or so, okay?
Awesome.
Thank you.
Great.
Can we take a quick
I would love it.
No,
Yeah.
I suppose for you,
We take a 5-minute recess.
yeah, 5 minutes.
I motion it.
2 minutes.
Okay. What is it? Take it over.
Our technical difficulties were unrelated.
No, it's sitting on the shelf because I might have, I had kids in my class this year. So I may have.
Wait, so after that, it's not. So after executive session, then we had no video.
No, it cut out sometime right around the SEL discussion.
Oh, the video did.
Yeah.
Sound?
Sound cut out when the video did, but we're all back up and all these are muted while we're on break here.
So. Alright. So we're part of the, so that whole piece. It's broadcast.
Like
The whole part that Beth Hawkinson's.
hers was broadcasted. We got back up about midway through facilities projects and reading results, purpose, feedback.
Okay, that's good. So just missed a little teeny bit on the line. That's all right. This was on there. I knew you are. I had texted or emailed Zach. I didn't leave you out of it. Just I knew he was here on Wednesday,
You told me that.
and I just was like, "Can you go to work with Paul? Not sure you did anything wrong, but like something is not quite connecting." And he's got theories about what cables, computer, camera. It wasn't just when they report. It's like he's struggling with it, not by any lack of your ability. Has not cooperated November, December, January, and today. So sometimes I'm like, well, two brains might be able to keep diagnosing it. Like it's not equal power,
I ran out there because she was out there.
right?
So it wasn't, that wasn't the first time that the power got.
I know.
So what did you?
And then it took a while.
It was,
And I thought you said like computer or the radio was like, not radio. Camera was super sensitive or glitchy with how it wanted to read or.
Yeah.
Like you had to play all these tricks with it to get it to recognize the software. Or that was computer maybe. Ever? Okay. Maybe that got sorted out. If you think it's okay, just see what. Is it working better?
Actually, it's been working all day.
Okay.
Sign it. I mean, I did.
Okay. It's working. I just seemed like there for a while. Something was wrong.
Showed me a video,
Well,
about 2000.
it's by core, so it's by computer, so it's less reliable. I said, it's more reliable. I get it. But you'll know, you keep watching this.
I'm sure, but I
You can air, you unplug something.
That's what I do, is I go back to sleep. Start reading about it.
And they want some of these rest.
Why'd you do that?
So, back?
Yep.
We're reading on Teresa.
Oh, we can just go without.
That's true.
Drove the bus that they were like. Oh, really?
What would you say, Pete?
I'm right there with you. She sits over there, I'm like going.
Yeah.
Yeah, he worked twice. 1996, yeah. Yeah. Yep. That was it. I've watched the match. It was, yeah, because they changed the rules, they had to lock up on it. Yeah, they broke their hands. Yep, that's the first.
Can you just trade with Candace? Can you trade with Candace so Pete can hear you?
When we talk about our feet.
Okay, we'll reconvene the meeting here, so. Idaho School Board Association activities, Board Development Workshop, March 21st, 2024. I'm assuming that is with Mr. Knopf coming back up.
Yes.
Okay,
For continuing, I think it's called board basics. It sounds like it's continued talk on governance, roles, responsibilities, policy, other topics that we talk about in the forming as a board.
I did run into a problem there. I won't be able to attend. I've got something, a family situation that's coming up on that day, so I just want to let everyone know. Yeah.
well, you're gonna have to give up your gavel then.
Oh, man.
Are you gonna be there? Yeah, I got you. Then Idaho Education Law Seminar, April 22nd and 23rd, Boise. So you got a flyer there with Anderson and Jillian Hall. You come back shaking your head, thinking, what in the world did we get into?
Are we all able to go to that?
Josh?
You're not, Josh, are you?
That's, I was just gonna look at the date, the 22nd, 23rd. I think so.
April's usually a good month for that stuff.
Did you register? Cool. So I can't back out now?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay.
But Mr. Stowe, I went to hear.
I'm going. Oh, I'm riding.
Right,
Yeah,
okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I thought I responded to that.
All right.
Okay,
Yeah,
so we're all good there?
I've got it blocked off on the calendar.
Okay.
You're going?
K, 2024, 2025 school calendar discussion.
All I'm mentioning at this point, there's no calendar yet.
Correct.
I just, this is usually the time of year, so I wanted to let the board know. We haven't forgotten the calendar. We're gonna be talking about the calendar for the 24-25 school year, basically. And that means, process-wise, that means I'll bring some drafts forward to the principals who have a list of questions to meet with their staff in the next few weeks and get some feedback, really. What do they want to stop? What do they want to keep? What do they want to change? There was a lot of changes. My understanding was there was quite a few changes for the 23-24 year. And now it's in a pretty good shape that it sounds like a lot of people are pretty happy with the calendar. Yet we want to be, we want to formalize that this is the time of year that we look at it and get some formal feedback from principals and support staff and certificated staff. So that's the process we're taking on the rest of March and probably part of April.
Yeah, I think the SMEA needs to look at that too, to make sure their stuff is built in there from
Indeed.
last year, I believe, when we chatted with them.
The president and I have met. We meet on Fridays before board meetings. And so certainly the next few meetings, calendar be one of those topics.
And then 4-day school week, ask teachers and patrons and stuff what they think about maybe looking into pros and cons of 4-day school week.
Yeah. I think it probably, yeah, we can look into it, but I think it'll be out. It might be out 24, 25, maybe 25, 26. Just because there's a lot of stuff to consider. Yeah. See, what is it? Facilities money in Bill 521 is tied to the school days remaining on a 5-day work school day, so I don't know what that consists of. And then, kind of late in the year, for getting input, but I think it seems to be, it won't happen for a while anyway, I don't think. We'll have to get, quite a bit of information.
Sure, yeah, absolutely, because there's a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of benefits to it, it sounds like too, because half of the schools in the state are doing it.
Was it over half? What was the numbers again?
It was about, so I asked that question, it was about 44%, and that includes public and charters and privates. It's about 30% of the student population, because you tend to have smaller school districts. So it did turn out to be about 40 to 45%. It's about 30% of the students in Idaho are on a 4-day. So getting input, yes. Was it gonna take a lot of planning and preparation from community and staff to think about in the future, like a 25 or 26 school year? Absolutely, we'll start getting input now.
That'd be a good idea.
It's gonna take a while.
Of course, but just hearing.
No, I think it's just.
Pros and cons, and
Yep.
community, staff, different planning.
Big things, community input,
Teaching
seeing
and
something
learning
interesting.
becomes
Absolutely.
different when your day's longer. For the 25-26 year, Bill 521, it's a tax credit and facilities fund bill. We're not sure if it'll become law. It's highly likely. They've attached a 5-day work week to that bill, meaning if we want to see that sum of money, 5-day school districts need to remain a 5-day school district.
Is that in process right now?
Yeah.
Bill 521. Is there any amendments or interest by any senators, or do we know? I don't remember this one, so I'm asking.
I believe it's in the Senate right now. It's getting a lot of momentum and a lot of favor, if you will.
Right.
Because it offers two things. It offers a tax credit.
Right.
People are happy about that.
Right.
And school districts would get some funding for facilities, and school districts in Idaho are in need of funds.
Sure, I'm wondering.
Facilities. They've attached a few other pieces to this high stakes bill, like wanting to remove the August election. 5-day schools need to stay 5-day if they want to receive that money.
Okay.
4-day schools potentially may have to add teacher days and student days to their calendar. I'm not sure yet. We're watching. We're supposed to know more by May.
And this bill specifies 5-day. It won't be looked at later on like HB 415 was by other senators that say, hey, why don't we
Oh,
include
right,
4
good point.
days? Yeah.
Like it amended, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just wondering. It specifies.
People have
5 days.
certainly spoke in the Senate hearing about not wanting to lose the August election and about not wanting the money attached to 4-day versus 5-day. So could it be? Sure, there's a likelihood.
Okay.
There's a possibility, I should say.
I could see this having some strength behind it with the 5-day work week where the state is looking at, because of coming out of COVID and a lot of teleworking that has been done, and a lot of people have been hired in teleworking, there is another bill in there for state workers that requires as an agency, a minimum of 75% of your employees have to be in the office.
Yeah.
Based out of physically in front of the seat type of thing. There's still a little bit of flexibility in there for some folks that have been hired for long distance, but the emphasis has swung back towards being in
Keeping
person.
it in your office, so to speak.
My curiosity goes to that lady that we heard while we were at the ISBA conference and how her data for the 4-day week benefited them. And I'm just wondering how that would, you know what I mean? And what that data would be. I don't know. There's so much information.
There's
obviously,
a lot
that's
to, you're right. I don't know if this is so much to the student data, there was a lot to teacher retention that she spoke about.
teacher retention, which we struggle with a little bit. Okay.
And they, for small, more rural areas, she spoke to, that's a great way to attract and keep staff.
It's just something to definitely look into.
I just gotta state my piece, but I think that, seems like this new age is working, we just as well go to a 3-day work week, type thing. So it's like we're trying to cut back but it's just, myself, I think the 5-day work week should be, or 5-day week should be good.
Well-
Maybe I'm just old school.
No, and I'm not saying otherwise, actually. What I learned, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I understood this right. It's still a 5-day work week. It's just a 4-day school in session here.
But then everybody will start seeing that schools are going 4 days, so let's just only open our doors for 4 days a week.
So what that 5th day does, and maybe I'm wrong, please correct me if I'm wrong. What that 5th day does is it offers opportunity when we leave early on Mondays or when kids need more attention. So it allows them to lose that Monday, leave early day, right? Giving a full session Monday, and correct me if I'm wrong, because that's where I'm understanding it. This is where my interest is just interest. So Monday through Thursday, their kids are they're maxed out. Friday, it allows teachers to prepare to get more training that they're needing to do anyways, and they're feeling overwhelmed. They're working Fridays. And kids that need it, even getting the extra time that Friday. So, and I don't know, I'm just interested as well. I just wouldn't mind knowing, at least the knowledge of whatever makes the kids better, right? Whatever helps the kids better is where I'm at.
Yeah, what's gonna work for,
Right.
again, what's gonna work for St. Mary's?
You can
Right.
schedule extracurriculars for Fridays more often because, with football, they leave early, wrestling, they leave everything. They have to leave early on Fridays to go compete, right? So there's that. And then you get 4 days of busing the kids to school. So you're going to cut off 20% of your average busing, which they drove 100,000 miles on bus routes.
I hear you on the same for sure.
Total.
For sure.
But I think 30 of it was extracurricular. So you're going to cut 20,000 miles off your buses every year. So that's what it is.
There are certainly pros and cons.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know any of them. I just wondered if we start gathering. Yeah.
No, I think.
Lots more input to gather and something, and community input, and what does that look like for
Yeah,
St.
'cause
Mary's?
then,
I totally understand what you're saying.
And so
Yeah,
for
I
25, or 24, 25, we're looking at a 5-day calendar, and that's underway right now, getting input from the staff.
Of course.
Good.
And it's due to the state end of May, so there's not much time to
Right.
make major changes anyways. And that's when it's due to the state every year for the following school year.
So we'd have to be prepared for if we did any information gather, we really need to gather
Right
information
now.
together.
Doing it, yeah, for the following.
Right, okay, for sure.
All right, moving on to L 2023-2024 amended budget. Ms. Cordell.
Chief business manager.
So there's 2 pages behind tab L are what was published in the newspaper, which was a requirement for to amend the budget. And then I will go over the last 3. These are the same, a couple number changes in the special funds, but this is what we've gone over in the budget workshop that we have. So if there's any questions, you can let me know and reset, or anything you think of, please jump in, chime in. So the first page is the general fund, and this is an amendment to the budget that was approved back in June. When it is done, we're guesstimating what our student count's gonna be, what our average daily attendance is gonna be, and what our staff's gonna be, which drives our funding. So this is an opportunity to go through it and do an amendment and make it, the actual numbers are that we have to date. So looking at revenues, the board approved total general fund revenues of $10,529,535. When all was said and done, looking at local and state revenues, there was an increase of $55,439. The local tax revenues, which is our supplemental levy, our tort levy and penalties and interest, just an increase of about $900. Of course, the supplemental levy is not going to change because that's what was approved by the taxpayers. But the torts, we have a calculation that we can increase from year to year, and in June, we don't have all the information. So that is the amount that we can increase the tort for this year, and it was already certified. Other local revenues, I have the list underneath there. That's several things. Anything that's not a state revenue. So we get tuition for preschool peer and from Avery for our high school students. There's interest in our local government investment pool. We get a little bit of rental income, transportation reimbursement fees when another school district or a company or somebody uses our buses, we charge them for that mileage, E-rate, and any miscellaneous. An increase of $97,500. That's from the interest we're earning from the local government investment fee. Last year, it ranged between 1.8% and 4%. We're currently at 5.43%. So when we get the money from the State Department, it automatically goes to the local government investment pool. It stays there until I need it to draw down for payroll or expenditures. So it earns interest right off the bat, and we draw it down when needed. For state revenues, that's our entitlement discretionary funds, salary and benefit apportionment, transportation, and other state support. It was a net decrease of $42,955. We estimated 51.92 support units, and support units are calculated based upon our student population and the average daily attendance. Budgeted 51.92, it came in at 51.22. And that was nothing that we could have anticipated. That was totally for the funding formula going from enrollment to average daily attendance. So we were lucky that it only decreased that amount. So, well, that's the revenues, local tax, other local and state revenues. So the net amount was an increase of $55,439. Any questions on those? And Josh, we went over this at the budget workshop, but going into more detail how this is calculated, we'll do that when we start looking at the proposed budget for next year.
No problem.
Expenditures, we divide that up into 8 categories. First one is salaries, and that's salaries for all personnel with the school district. That's administrators, that's certified teachers, counselors, people at the business office, secretaries, parapros, bus drivers, mechanics, substitutes, coaches, it's everybody. Except for food service, they're in their own fund. But these are all the personnel that runs the school district. And the approved budget was $6,174,607. Amended budget, looking at all the people that we hired compared to what we anticipated, it increased $10,215. Now that's the net amount. That's not very much. There was some significant changes, like between classified and certified, or high school or middle school, of what we anticipated the staff would be, but the net amount is only $10,215. For benefits, that's PERSI, this retirement system for school district employees, Social Security, medical, dental, life insurance policy, workman's comp. That was a decrease of $3,400. Decrease of $3,400. Some miscellaneous things. We anticipate certain benefits for whatever the staff comes up with. That's what we pay for. And then the workman's comp was less than what we had last year. So that was a significant decrease there. Purchase services, that's professional technical services, property services, equipment rental, travel, utilities, dues and fees. Budget an increase of $75,000 for this year only. Next year that will not be included, and that's in the transportation department. And I'll let Dr. Wrench talk about that. Again,
Well, it's the reason for the extra cost, I shared, we were short a mechanic So in terms of maintenance and repairs, we fell behind just by a shortage of mechanics. So we allowed some extra expenses to outsource, if you will, and have some of the major repairs, particularly of our older buses, be fixed and repaired by an outside source, so it's costing more money. But the idea was to have them operating safely and to get back into a place of maintenance where now we're not in repair mode, we're in maintenance mode. So that was some extra expenses. We've got more mechanic help at this point, and we've moved from the major repairs back to maintenance, plus we almost fully staffed. So you saw an increase in expenses the first half of the year, but if you look at transportation expenses now, you'll see it leveling off or even decrease a little bit.
So now, let me ask a question. So, and I saw in my book that we have all operational buses, all of them.
Yeah.
Right? It makes 15 of them, right? And as it was discussed,
Yeah.
that's what
I'm just going in my head with the number of routes. Go ahead.
So even though we might have taken more on basically financially, if I remember this right from the last time we reviewed this report, this helps us get ready for the next round of buses to sell, gain from, and then replace with newer buses, right? Which are better.
That
Okay.
is part of it.
So we'll see a return on our investments. I'm trying to say over the longevity of this time. And plus, it makes them all operational. We have. Okay. Perfect. You weren't here, so I wanted to reiterate what we discussed because as we go through this report, we'll see. And I just want to make sure I'm seeing this one.
Yeah, that's fair.
Thank you.
Yeah, we should be able to see a better return when we turn around and sell some of our older buses because they're in better operating shape. We get some money back from the state each year based on depreciation, and we are about to be up for another round of, I believe, 4 buses.
4 buses.
Which will give us 8, 9 buses that are, within 2 years.
Which we'll be
2
selling
years
buses.
being due.
We'll be selling buses, of course, to gain those things. Okay.
The next item, supplies and materials, that's classroom materials, supplies, office, technology, custodial maintenance, transportation and textbooks. We'll keep that budget the same at $631,517. Capital outlay, we have in there for $30,000, just available for maintenance, building repairs and equipment. And that's anything over $2,500 is qualified as equipment. No debt service, property and liability insurance, small increase of 333. And then transfers out, those amounts that we are, some is board approved, and some are required to transfer to other funds. And that is food service. The general fund has to pay for food services, Social Security for their salaries. Medicaid match, when we receive Medicaid funds, general fund has to match like 27%. So that's transferred out. We do transfer $96,000 to the bus fund to purchase buses. That has to be in a separate fund. And part of that $96,000 is the depreciation that we receive from the State Department, and that is required to be used. And I think we only get maybe 46 or 50,000, but we've increased that to 96,000 just so we can afford to buy new buses. So that has been built into the budget.
And the state level, what's that?
The state requires the depreciation part of it, which is the 46, but we have increased that to 96,000 to ensure that we can pay for the new buses that we plan on getting. And then we do allocate 116,000 towards facilities. Since we don't have a levy, a plant facilities levy, or much money coming in for facilities, the board has approved that amount each year. 116,000 will go into the plant facility fund to help pay for facilities projects. Yep. So overall, the beginning fund balance, we had budgeted $975,000. It was actually $982,175. Total revenues of $10,584,974 plus expenditures $10,684,936. We would have an estimated ending fund balance of $882,213. And the reason to have that fund balance is for cash flow purposes. We have to cover July, our fiscal years from July 1 to June 30th. And our July payroll needs to be covered and expenditures when we don't receive tax revenue until end of July. And our first payment for the following year from the state farm is in August. So we need to make sure we have enough money to carry over to be able to cover those. And also federal funds is cost reimbursement. So we need some monies in there to be able to pay first before we can get money for some of those funds. So that's why we need a fund balance.
The fiscal year being where it is such a pain in the butt.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So the next two pages, that's the general fund. Next two pages are our special funds, which these are awards and grants that some of them are required to be kept separate from the general fund by law. Some are just, it's better to keep track of things that way, to keep it from general fund. We went through these in the budget workshop. Most of them are basically the same from the approved, the amended, just looking at the revenues coming in might be a little different. The main differences or the main increases were the third column over is the career technical vocational education. We have revenue coming in of $187,000. That's normally about $40,000. And the reason is Teresa and high school got the leading 2.0 grant. That was $119,000 for the welding program. So that was there. And that just got done spending and we're getting the reimbursement back. And also, there was a $40,000 one-time distribution for our voc ed programs, which we have 3 right now. It's business, welding, and shop career trades. So next year, that'll go back down to the normal amounts. Right next to it is that securing our future grant, the $96,500, and the superintendent report. There was the one slide of the safety and security in all buildings, the fencing, doors. So that's what this award is going to pay for. So we've already received the $96,000, so now we can spend it. The rest of them are pretty much the same. Any questions on any of those?
There was one, I think it was a safe and drug-free maybe, that was in capital objects, but you moved it to supplies and materials.
Yes.
Was that the
I questioned
27,000?
myself and I just put it on the wrong line. So I did move that. I circled it. Which one was it?
The 27.
Title I.
27,000.
It was Title I. I had 25,000 in capital objects and then I rolled it up into
Okay.
supplies. So it's now 36,571. But the total amount didn't change, just the amount that went into. On the second page, all of these pretty much stay the same. Just want to reiterate that the plant facilities, we set up a new, recommend setting up a new fund for the Renew America Schools, the 14.9 million. We do have a 5% match set aside. So that's the 746,000 and putting that into its own fund. So that project can be kept separate from the rest of our plant facilities. It'll just be easier to do that. So I'm recommending creating a new fund just for that grant.
How much was the match?
705%.
5% match.
And that is the maximum we have to, cash-wise, but when we can prove or we show that personnel put towards this project, like superintendent, myself, and Joe, once we figure out those monies, the amount of time, that'll go towards that. That'll be a value, and that'll be part of our matching, our salaries and benefits that we have put forth towards this program, towards this grant. So we will not have to pay out that 746,000. I just set that aside just in case, but it will be lower than that.
Is that limited, so the match, is that limited to just the folks that you mentioned, or can you use all of the teacher salaries as a?
No, it's just those 3 positions that are directly related to facilitating the grant. Yep.
I have some other grants I deal with where I can use all of my employees.
No, it was just, just the
Okay.
3 positions that are directly related to it, yeah.
Let me answer. The plant facility already has, that's the 746,000.
Yep, that's the 14.9 million, that's Renew America Schools.
And that, we got that from some industry stuff. That was the exciting part.
Oh, yeah, we got 500 and some odd thousand from the county. They had sold some parcels.
That's right.
Yep.
And that just happened randomly.
That
Same time
randomly,
about that grant.
Alyssa and I were talking about, we got it like 2 months prior to this award, and we're thinking that's a sign.
That's
To
how we
get it.
that's how we got the
Yeah,
grant.
because it just, yeah,
Because we had to match 5%, which was over 7.
we were gonna find it somewhere, but
Right. that
there
matched it
was,
perfect.
there was, yep. Okay. Any questions? Thank you.
You're done?
I'm done.
So much easier to read. So much easier.
All right, moving on to M, Idaho House Bill 415 status.
Well, let's see. It's in the Senate as discussions continue. And it's been revised and taken on a new name called SB 1418. Tana has a copy of a summary of that revised bill, I guess. The two major differences between 415 and 1418 are twofold. One, they're talking about specific training requirements. And two, they want to make sure control remains at the local level. So they're looking to see that school districts would create policies that best fit the community's need.
Do we know where that's at?
It's sitting in the Senate, and this became, as of, I believe, yesterday, if not
Okay.
today,
I think I saw that. So I
the
wanted-
new revised bill and name.
Right.
Um,
Introduced by the Senate, obviously.
Correct. And so you're getting the most up-to-date situation or version of where this bill sits, and the two major differences are what I just shared. The specific training requirements and to want to make sure that control remains at the local level
My
and how we write our policy.
understanding was that as it was written, it wasn't gonna make it out.
Right.
As
So,
what?
Right.
As it was written
Right.
and presented to the House, it
Yeah.
wasn't gonna make it.
Yeah.
So my understanding is they're trying to incorporate some changes to get enough of a majority vote to continue to get it.
Two positive things that I saw come from this was, one, I think was really reflective, and I don't want to take ownership of this by us as a committee, but I thought that when we sat in ISBA meeting and we met with the president, remember how much influence they were trying to have, and I thought, we talked, we were like, we all sat and said, have lunch, and I thought it was a really big deal that we got to speak our piece and say, hey, two things is, first thing, this is, this is something we want to see go forward, we spoke about that, and they had their opinion, and I was like, hey, this, your opinion is great and all, but remember, this is also a constitutional right that we want to see at least they give their influence, and then where are they at? They're neutral on it right now, which is great. I think that's a good thing, that they're not influenced like this. I don't remember if you remember that conversation we had at lunch that day. But even better is that they brought it to what I think we were all trying to say is we need to match with the community, what our local level wants more than, and giving that right, of protection to our kids, rather than have the state control, right? And I think that's what they're.
I think that's where they're at.
Right, right. Which I saw really good literature in there for that. I mean, that's what I saw. I don't know how much you guys have read all into it, and I was like, that, obviously there's a lot of change here. It's moving forward. Josh, what we understood is it was gonna die as well. And there was no hope, right? Like zero hope. So I really appreciate it. And I think the ISBA actually had positive movement with that to influence it to move to the next step, is what I'm trying to say. And actually go into a different discussion of like, how do we keep this bill moving? Which is what I appreciate. Right.
On the link, what you sent us there, I couldn't get past page 2.
So there's,
It took a while to load.
Yeah.
Straight back and
I
forth,
got
yeah.
Because I went back and forth and I finally got.
we brought you a hard copy.
But it seems like they
I just-
stuff in
Yeah.
there. That's-
All right, next time we'll bring it back.
That was like.
I got one.
Hand it there.
5 words in 1,000.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they
They
put a lot of extra words in it for some
They
reason.
took 100 words where 5 would work.
Stuff that doesn't even pertain. It kind of went back to like Information Act type of stuff.
Right,
Mhm.
right.
So it's almost like I don't know what they're doing, but
You're right.
My appreciation to it more than anything else is it didn't die, right? Like, I mean,
correct.
we all know where we stand
And it-
on the Second Amendment.
Yeah,
My
they
biggest
put
problem is that it
the
didn't
control
die,
in the board's hands where you can deny somebody.
or that we can implement a policy. If it died, then, then it's indoor control to a certain degree. If this goes into law, then the best part about it was the signs. The best part about it is it allows us to create more policy.
You don't have to take the signs down as far as is what I thought I read. There's just something you have to put next to the sign.
But that doesn't mean we couldn't take our signs down.
But
Huh?
That's the best part is we can take our signs down.
Yeah, we can take it down.
We have that right to do so.
But
That's the
I
best
think
part.
they changed that to where you don't have to take the sign down now. You just have to put another sign next to it saying that.
Adjourning.
I mean, I think we all previously liked the one that said that they would fine you even if you didn't, but that's, at least we're moving forward, right? That's where I'm looking at this.
Kind of getting back more to where it probably was with the state before, where the board could harm the teachers. It's probably not as effective as the first bill.
Well, I guess we'll just kind of keep watching and see what happens. That's all we can do. You guys should be getting those emails from Quinn, should.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
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 That's, she'll keep you on top of stuff. If you need to call somebody who cares. Travis Gage. All right, moving on to board request of administration. Anything about board development? Administration? Good.
What is that mean?
Just, if
Anything question you have?
any questions out to administration, to Teresa?
What is Sorry.
That's all right.
You can't control that.
Yeah, I can't control that. All right, we'll move on to action items. I guess I should have stated this before the meeting, but I have a revised here. I'm gonna go ahead and read it and tell you what I got here, but need to review and consider motion to approve the 7 students, which I got an update, it was 8, to complete the BPA National Leadership Conference in Chicago, Illinois, on May 10th through the 14th, 2024.
I'm gonna move that one.
So I have one question.
Yeah.
Did they take some steps prior to this to do any sort of fundraising to help themselves?
BPA does.
They do.
BPA does do fundraising.
Okay. Is that, do they get some of the profits from like the school store, from the espresso machine, not the espresso machine, but the,
Yeah, the student store.
Yeah.
and The coffee machine?
the new, yeah. the
Oh, yes,
Stuff they sell.
yes.
Okay.
Is there something we can do? Help them from this point? Is there any more that we can do to help them from this point? That's a good question and valid reason.
Like the school board or-
No, I mean, like us as a school, is there anything that they can do to be able to, I mean, between now and May? I know that's on a big time period, but.
What-
But he has a valid point. Like, I mean, are they doing anything to financially move forward with this? Is there anything more that they can do?
I think funding is not a question, is it?
No,
We're just-
we just have to
that
approve.
they're-
Okay.
Since it's out of
Perfect.
state. since
Yeah,
it's
there's
state,
no-
They have the money.
Okay, that's where my question was. I was trying to add to that.
I'm sorry, I probably should have prefaced that and asked if they had self-funded or if this was an ask
No,
for.
they self-fund, yes.
I did not.
Thank you.
And Mr. SMA Jess, right, they also do fund.
You don't know. Okay.
Okay,
How do they get the funding? You want me to ask? How do they get the funding?
fundraiser.
Do they get like,
Sounds like
okay.
they self-fund.
Oh, cool.
Should they need additional, if they fell short, would they come ask?
They would come ask us. I didn't realize that.
Just like athletics, yes.
Well, some of them says stroke tricks.
We don't want to get in the way of this. And-
So we got a motion and a
I'll
second.
second.
That second is
Oh, that's
already.
Already got that.
Any more discussion? All in favor, saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Yeah. P, review, consider motion to approve the 2023-2024 amended budget.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Is there a motion and a second? Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Q, review, consider motion to declare a need to approve application for alternate authorization teacher to new certificate and an endorsement and new renewal 7 to 12 music for Gregory Jones.
James Whitten.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the application for Mr. Whitten.
You got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I'll add that it is pretty exciting. Having a visual performing arts program is important. It has been important to St. Mary's, and to have an elementary teacher, but also now have a secondary teacher, lets us not only keep that program, but potentially continue to grow that program for kiddos K-12.
Awesome.
All right, R, review, consider motion to set the 2024-2025 budget hearing date.
I'll make a
You want to
motion to
jump
set the
This
date.
is normally our June board meeting, but we have to formally set that date to notify the counties. So we have that budget hearing, and that would be June 10th.
I'll move that we set the budget hearing date for June 10th.
I'll second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Yes, review and consider motion to appoint the 2024-2025 district negotiation team. I don't think I'm supposed to make a motion, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
It's a motion district.
I'll make a motion that,
Give a little background. Yeah.
Is this for the SMEA?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
so we need 2 trustees, a chair and a vice chair, to sit on a negotiation team with the SMEA when they call for the meeting. So basically just negotiate the salaries and benefits back and forth.
What did you say was usually vice chair and who?
Well, it had been.
Okay. Well, I wanna learn.
Well, you elect a chair and a vice chair. It's not this chair and vice chair, but this, I'm gonna make a motion that we elect this chair and vice chair to serve on that negotiation team. Jody Hendrickson says so.
Let's second it.
Okay.
Thanks for not getting involved.
Unless somebody else wants to.
John, are you sure?
Okay.
I'm good with it. Yep. Beth?
You brought the motion.
I brought the motion.
Okay, and who seconded
I'll
it?
second that motion that they're.
I probably
Chair
wasn't
and vice
supposed
chair.
to, just in the little time. So, okay, we got any further discussion?
So we have Jody as first, second, Seth. What about, do we need to do an alternate?
We've done an alternate in the past, just for the simple fact if one of us can't be there. That should that be a separate motion? If we all do it all the same. Let's do it in 2 different ones.
We've never really used the alternate. but it's
Yeah,
just
just
easy
because we've
from
already
the
got this on the
process.
floor. So all in favor of saying aye on the vice chair and chair?
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed? Motion carries. Now we should have an alternate.
You want to?
Okay.
I can do it.
So,
Somebody
So
bring it.
I'll move,
Yeah, I'll make go ahead, you
I'll
please.
move that Paul serve as the alternate for the budget negotiation, or the district negotiation.
I'll second
Hold
that.
on.
okay.
You
Motion and a
know a lot
second.
about this stuff too.
Now we've got any discussion for it.
Sorry, my question is, I don't want to just jump into this without giving you guys an opportunity to want to get involved in this, like, you guys are okay.
Too late.
All right.
Too late.
I think it's late.
It was moved, seconded, and voted on.
Well, I'm wondering why.
If we were in Kentucky, we would have moved our team.
Yeah, well, I'm wondering if I'm swimming or sinking.
All right. All in favor saying aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we got that. Okay, thank you, gentlemen. That's what I'm gonna do. Okay, T, review and consider motion to approve the graduation credit waiver for the students 23-24-004, 23-24-005, 23-24-006, 23-24-007, and 23-24-008.
Question? Is this,
Well,
that number, oh,
We need a motion.
I make a motion to approve the graduation credit waivers.
Okay, that's the second.
I'll second it.
Okay, second. Any further discussion?
Is this normal?
Yeah. So
Is that number, like the number of students?
No,
That's
you can't
a
refer
number.
to the name, that's.
That's
No, no,
what
no,
I'm
no,
Anything
no,
in session.
no. I mean the actual count of
Oh.
five
5.
or six students here. Is that normal to have
It
at the end
seems,
of the year?
what I'm understanding and talking to the school counselor and the principal is that is typical, that's a typical number. What happens is many of these students have transferred in
Okay.
later on in the year, and they'll have, you see, 1 credit of economics and just didn't have time in their schedule to get 2 before graduation. And they meet the state graduation requirement. St. Mary's has a higher graduation requirement, knowing the value of economics, to your point.
That was my only question.
Will they continue to brainstorm, how do we find a way so that kiddos transferring in can meet that 2 credit mark? Yes.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor, saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Remember, consider a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor, saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.